Hi there, hopefully this is working. So I'm going to show you today some Cities of Imagination work that I've been working on as part of my www.3zuni.com science fiction visual story. I've done so much work on this over the last year or so. It's really consumed my time, so it would be great if you could check it out and see if you like it, and if you like it, you can follow it. Anyway, so here's the final render. Basically, it was a simple render. The idea was just a simple, almost, high school art idea. Happy, sad, in, what I'm saying, in a city architectonic setting. And for this, I used Blender 2.80. I rendered it completely in the Eevee engine. I didn't use cycles. I really like the Eevee engine because it doesn't give those little firefly dots. And modeling these, what someone's called a buckyball in the past, which is Buckminster Fuller's spherical balls. I modeled these in 3ds Max a year or so ago because if you actually look at my 3zuni.com, the floating city in the story is made of this internal shape. But, obviously reuse of props, like in films, reuse of props in 3D graphics. Excuse me, I'm just drinking coffee. Anyway, so it's got like a gantry. This gantry, again, was part of the 3zuni.com city. And that comes out, and then this was reused mesh as well. And that was actually reused from a scene. And these cables were just splines that I bent, and these people were from Make Human. The textures were, I wanted to keep them fairly in not so obvious textures. I think textures can be overdone in 3D. If you look at real life, often your eyesight is blurred, especially if you've been sleeping late the night before and just drinking your morning cup of coffee. These are these nice logos. I'm really into retro logos. When I was a kid, I was born in '75, so I grew up with, parents having record albums with, really interesting old logos like that. There's another one there. So that's the logos are done in Substance Designer. Did I say Substance Painter? But Substance Designer, really check it out. It's not just for textures. I'm really actually into it for 2D shapes. These shapes here are just my abstract drawings that I do. I'm always developing a look with those, and I really like to combine them with the 3D graphics. Okay, and then this is a very, 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 very early concept sketch, and the idea was to include my floating city, but I'm quite interested in retro expos, as many of you know. So there was the Montreal one in 67? My memory is really bad today, I don't know why. It's because haven't drunk enough coffee. And perhaps more inspired is the Osaka 1970 World Expo. Look at some of the posters for that, they're amazing. And there's a tower in Osaka that has sort of a structure a bit like this with not balls but flat, polygonal balls. So that's that. So let's have a look at how we did it, or how I did it. So, okay, so here's the scene in. Oops, I just moved an object. So this is the scene in Blender 2.80. You can see all these lights set up. So these are just point lights. There's a light. There's a sunlight. Is it a sunlight? I can't remember. So let's have a look. A spotlight. Okay, so the spotlight's coming down on that ball, and the spotlight's going. The point light. No, sorry, it's a spotlight. Spotlight. So it's done on spotlights. And is that a sun? No. I think they're all spotlights. Anyway, I'm going to take it to the Eevee shader now. So that's in the solid mode. Let's just put it onto Eevee. And here we go. So that's that. And it's got an HDRI set up in the background. Let's have a look at that quickly. Let's go to shading. There we go. and I've changed that, so I'm going to go to shader editor, go to worlds, and here's the setup. Yeah, if you want to look into HDRI setup, so check out HDRI freemium lighting course by Gleb Alexandrov, of course in Blender, and that'll show you how to do a setup like that. As you can see, I'll just change that back to shader. Okay, so as you can see, I've adjusted the curves and taken the strength down. I just wanted a slight environment lighting. I didn't want the full lot, so if I crank it up, you know, see what happens, and that messes everything up and it makes everything glow. Speaking of which, I'll go to the effects in Eevee, and I've turned on ambient occlusion. I've turned on bloom. It's not very apparent there actually. Okay, and I've got screen space reflections. Look at the difference that makes because I've got transparent glass, and volumetrics. So the volumetrics behind it, the idea with this image was to do it mostly in, well, basically completely in Eevee. So even the 2D flat drawings imported as SVGs rather than doing it in Photoshop. It was just a little experiment I wanted to do. And as you can see, that's the scene there. Let's just take that down. Press 0 to go to the camera view. And as you can see, that's the final composition. So there's really not much work to do afterwards on it. And I think I just adjusted the curves very, very slightly in the GIMP editor. So it's all done on open source this. Well, it wasn't actually because it was Substance Designer and Substance Painter in 3ds Max. But as you can see, you can get a lot done using open source. I'll just do a quick view in shading mode. Let's take it on to adjust the look to clay to make it easier to see. And I'll just leave you with looking around it. It's a bit of a mistake there. Mistakes sometimes just happen. Oh, I know what that was. That's the volumetric shader, but the volumetric on it is just a square, so you couldn't actually see that bit coming out in the final piece. As you can see, it's not that accurate at the back. Don't, unless you're doing real-time work and you're looking right around the object in the scene, you don't really need to add all the fixtures and things where you can't see, because it just looks like that. Okay, thanks so much. Remember to check out my 3zuni.com universe. I've got lots of things planned for that, and I also sell a trading pack for the first wave story. It's a visual story, it's a trading card pack. Check that out, 3zuni.com. It's for sale at the moment. And also, you can go to my art site, jamesableart.com, and also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, jamesableart. And there I do draw every day. Traditional drawing is the core. Thank you very much. Bye for now.